This was actually part of the presentation.
Yeah.
They meant that.
So we hope both that you are warned after this sign. So let's go. So every project has a story, and every story has a bit of magic in it. And where is magic? There are fairies. And where are fairies? There is of course the magic dust. And as NG Poland is all about inspiration and all that stuff, we are here today to tell you our story of configurable front-end applications. And we've done it with a little help of magic from the fairies. And as we were introduced, we are front-end walls, Rafał and I'm Max. We are from Future Processing in Gliwice, when we solve all nasty different things. So let's go with our story.
Yeah. Let's begin with an introduction, with a prologue, which is always in a good Disney story. So, one day, the fairies had a very long, intensive discussion. This discussion was about how to help the developers deliver their configurations to their front-end applications. By configuration, I mean some kind of links, authorization configurations, links to external applications, etc., etc. Any configuration you can have, and they discussed how can they help to deliver this magic dust, the configuration to their app. The expectations are very different, so they need to think out something very, very good. And during the discussion, one of the fairies, it was Silver Mist, proposed to go to the standard, easiest Angular way. Everybody should know it. And she said, we have environment functionality, and it's already there. And look at this. We have a specific environment TypeScript file where you put your configuration, you make a ng build, then you have an artifact in your dist folder, then you deploy it, you have a running app where you can use your configuration from the environment. And the same for the dev, the same for the separate application for the production, for the stage, for whatever you environment file you have. And all the fairies agreed. And because it's a well-known standard way to push the configuration to the application, and it's broadly used by all the developers, I think a lot of you is also using that way. Only Tinkerbell, it was the only fairy that had some doubts. And she said, is it the only way? Is it always fine? Let's think this through for a moment. Girls, but this is done during build time. So the configuration gets burned into the artifact, into your build, so you cannot manipulate it later. So you cannot do anything later with that. Maybe we could find a better way to push the configuration, the magic dust to our application. Tinkerbell, oh no, said the other fairies. And here we go again with this Tinkerbell story. Chapter 1, Direct Dust Injection. But this time, it was not the Tinkerbell who opened the ideas Pandora box. It was Faun, mostly known as the animal fairy. And she said, maybe we shouldn't drift so far away from this default solution. Let's go the same way, but instead of using multiple environments, just make that decision on build time. Let's either provide the configuration for all possible runtime locations and put it in production environment file. Wait. Let's sum it up. So you want to have a single environment file with all those configurations, for example, for dev, stage, and production, build it, and then you have your bundle with dev, stage, and production, and you deploy it, and then in your running app, you decide which environment configuration you need by the browser URL. For example, you have stage example.com, then you just take from the bundle the stage config. And by a single config file, you mean something like this. Ask the Tinkerbell. And she has shown this simple production environment file with all of the configurations. Then, with loading, we have something like this, ASCII again, and showed a simple configuration config initializer, very often used. He mentioned it already today, app initializer. So you just take the host name and with the host name, take the proper configuration and initialize the app with this configuration. Or, she said again, the phone, or simply provide multiple files with configuration and then just use it in the same way, said the Tinkerbell. So you want to have a standard normal app, but with separate files, then you just need to build it again. Do you have your artifact, this folder with, and here is the difference, with the application build and with the chunks. And the chunks are coming from dynamic import, which Webpack takes and creates such chunks. So when you run your application, then again, the browser URL decides which configuration should be taken, but it's not taken from the built-in bundle, but it uses dynamic import and dynamically imports the chunk, like the lazy loading for the routing. And again, the browser URL decides. For multiple files, you think about something similar like this, and again show the files. There are 3 examples of the files, and then about loading it with the dynamic import with Webpack, you have something like this. And again, we have the host name and the dynamic import. The part which we have marked here is with this dynamic import, which is responsible for creating those separate chunks that Webpack creates during build. Yes, exactly, said the found. They hoped that this will close the topic finally, as this solution looks quite legit. But again, Tinkerbell, she was not a normal standard fairy. It was far from being then satisfied. And gives, do we really should burn again these configurations into our artifact? This way, we deliver a lot of useless magic dust to these users' applications, which is also publicly available. You can look into code and you see the configurations. So it's a little bit dangerous. And now, chapter 2.
The dust injection by replacement. So Tinkerbell was thinking, imagine a situation when we still have a single deployable artifact, but we would like to inject our configurations during deployment, not during build time. And then suddenly Evidesa stepped out of the line and, probably inspired by the whole discussion, asked, okay, so how do they deploy their frontend apps nowadays? Again, Silvermist, also known as the Water Fairy, was the first one to say something. I've heard about some kind of a dolphin or a fish. No, wait, was it a whale? Yes, a whale. I think it's a whale, and it has a whale in the logo, and it's called Docker. Yes, said happily Tinkerbell. This is some sort of magic as well. They containerize their apps to be a self-sufficient, encapsulated artifacts, and it's really awesome. So it's just like on Birdegg. Everything inside to bring whatever's inside live. And you can control this container behavior via the environment variables. Wow, impressive. All the fairies nod their heads. So, can we or can we not utilize this to support our goal? Rosetta asked. And she continued, so what if we could use those environment variables in our app? For instance, by leaving some kind of configuration placeholders in our code, like index.html, so we can later grab it and use it, while earlier it gets replaced with a proper value? So, Tinkerbell said, wait, you're thinking about something like this. So we have some kind of index template with some kind of basic placeholders, you preprocess it to get a final index HTML which is usable by Angular and build with the actual env placeholders, and we'll get to that later. Then you do the ng build with all that stuff. You get the artifact, which is a dist folder. You do the Docker build to get the artifact, which is the Docker image. And then, during the deployment phase, you suggest to take the available environment variables and to substitute them on Docker run in this index.html to get a running application which has index.html with the placeholders replaced by the deployment environment specific values. Am I right? So Rosetta said, yeah, you're right. So I'm seeing this a little bit like this. And then before the application gets built, we will do some kind of magic to support two different targets. The local development, so the ng-serve, which really doesn't require environment variables, and the all other target environments, which is our Docker images via the ng build and so on. So we will modify our package JSON to look something like this. Then we will use a simple node script with tools inside like preprocess or set, and do a little bit of magic, which looks something like that. So depending on the environment target, we are preparing different things or placeholders for the variables, or we inject some preset up values. And then this way, we could prepare our index.html so it can be used by a, for instance, get text event subs program. This will allow us to directly inject OS environments as our configuration during the deployment phase. So the Docker file might look like this, I think, she said. And thanks to all this process, I think that from this step, via this after preprocessing, so just before the build, we could end up with something like this in our index.html, so we can grab it easily and deal with it. But Tinkerbell said, but wait, I just reminded myself that they use a tool called Kubernetes to build huge ecosystems of those Docker images.
And now, again, next chapter, chapter 3, with discrete dust injection. Oh, come on! Vidya joined the discussion, is a friend of Tinkerbell. So I see where this is going. I know you, Tinkerbell. Your curiosity will get us in trouble again, and again. But I have an option. As far as I know, Kubernetes is capable of mounting files and things as a files into containers. Of course, in multiple namespaces. This is what is Kubernetes responsible for. There are those little things called secrets and those config maps. Yeah, thank you, Tinkerbell. So maybe we could join our concepts and make Kubernetes load our configuration as a files, these mounted files, depending on deployment namespace. By namespace, I mean stage, development, prod, etc. This way, in each namespace, we could have separate configurations and just simply load them on Bootstrap of our application, as we already shown in previous example or at the beginning with the simplest one with Angular way. Tinkerbell said. So let's sum this up. I need to analyze it. So we have our normal application code, which we build with a standard Angular way. We have our artifact, our dist folder, then we build our Docker image, and then, thanks to our config map and Kubernetes, during the deployment, there is this config magically injected, mounted as a file. And then, thanks to this process, we have a running app with environment file config JSON that is mounted magically. And when it comes to this config map, it looks something like that. So we have this config JSON base encoded and a deployment config file for the Kubernetes, where we decide how to mount this magically this text to this config map to our Docker image. And of course, we use app initializer with our config initializer function with the promise, and just take the simple config file and use our configuration data as you want. Again, yes, you have got it, Tinkerbell, said the video. But Tinkerbell, as always, is so curious and said, but can we do this better? Especially when there is this micro frontends hype all around. Chapter 4.
The first concept. So Tinkerbell shouted, on the spring variant of our twin name. Girls, I've got a splendid concept. Let me call it our first concept. So let's like, first, the splendid, shiny, superb Node.js framework for building backend apps, so we won't need any Java or .NET developers, called Nest.js. Camille, I hope you're here. And using it, we can build quickly a dedicated web service to serve the configuration for us, depending on the environment, and of course with its implicit configuration. And as you know, or maybe you don't know, Nest.js just looks like Angular, so it's really awesome by the definition. And yeah, you should try it. So before we go, just let's have a quick theoretical sum up. So we have multiple apps, and what I think we should do is to split the code and the configurations into separate parts. Then on ng build and Docker build, still have this separation to both entities, and have it in deployable artifact, but later on the deployment stage do two different things. The one thing is deploy the runtime application, the second one is to publish a configuration to a separate web service. So thanks to that, on the runtime, your application can easily load the things from your web service, and additionally, you can override the configs from outside if you wish. So first things, some concepts. So if we have multiple apps, like the micro frontend setup that you see here, of course, you can have many of those apps. So we allow each app to define their unique, but what's important, broadly available config set. So a package of config properties inside related to this application. Then we allow to have a global config set with configurations inside. And what's even more important, in the end, we do some kind of optimization. We allow each app to create a projection of configurations that are needed called runtime set. So you build a runtime set from those configurations that you actually need. And then on the Angular side, it gets really simple. So you create a service capable of delivering the configuration just when asked, and it might look like this. So it's quite simple and obvious. And on the backend side, so the Nest.js one, you create a simple controller, really with a small service that does 4 things for you. So it's able to taking the config sets and removing when asked, and further on it's able to create and retrieve the runtime sets, so those compiled configurations that are needed by given application. And as mentioned, we can store our configurations in separate files, and still outside of Angular app, but literally with Docker. So our project might look like this, and if we wish, we could use here the Kubernetes trick as well. So there's only one thing we need to do, is learn our Docker image to publish given environment-related configurations to our config web service while it's brought to life. And this is quite simple, because we can do this in a couple lines. So depending on the environment variables, we'll simply publish whatever we need. And voila! We can request our configuration, and it will be there. Always in the latest version, always composed from what is actually needed, and well secured, if you've done it right. So, what do you think? Do you feel inspired? So, we hope so. So, this is the end, and thank you, Faris, and thank you as well. Awoo!